Hello, everyone. Today is Tuesday, April 2nd. It is 31 p.m. We're at Old Town Hall. This is a remote participant Zoom meeting. There's a public meeting being recorded for cable broadcast and the internet posting on YouTube at youtube.com, Town of Dayton. Call to order.
Pat McGovern, present.
Paul Pacheco, present. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have anything for the town nurse? If you don't mind, I'm just gonna sit there tonight. Is that okay? Right. Yep, no, it's okay. Good. We do have something from the town nurse. I mean, if you prefer, I'll stand up there, whatever you want. Oh, I thought you were gonna sit there. Yeah, is that okay? As long as everybody can hear you. Okay. So yes, I have a Board of Health report from the public health nurse, Nicole Mello. It's dated March 2024. Meetings. In February, I attended my first CLPH meeting as president-elect of MAPPN. These meetings are going to be a great resource to the department as we will have greater access to many organizations. Senior Center. On February 9th, 2024, she met with Bella, Laura, and Trista at the COA to conduct Narcan training and supply them with Narcan to round out their emergency response knowledge and supplies. She has resumed blood pressure clinics in March, also at the Primetime COA building, and she continues to contribute to the COA newsletter. Additional items. She attended a first hoarding training being provided by PHE grant. I believe you did that too.
I did.
She ordered more than 1,000 COVID kits. 500 kits are still, 500 kits should be delivered. There's still the two test type. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, there's two tests.
Two test kit, okay. She's partnering with the police department on holding a blood drive and met with the Red Cross about this on March 12th. And she completed her first home visit in Dayton. She shied away from home visits in the past due to limited hours, availability, and more individuals needing care in the community. She said, that being said, we are now with a healthcare situation. This being said, the place we are now with healthcare, this situation was necessary for me to do. I'll continue to take great care of offering the service, continue to look forward to outside resources before offering the service. So she must have trouble making herself available to home visits. That makes sense. Any questions? Nope. Okay. Animal inspector's not here. You don't have anything to say, right?
We just have the rabies clinic on Saturday, April 27th from 9 to 12 at Bristol Aggie. It's hosted by the Dayton Health Department and Bristol Aggie Vet Center.
What is that?
The rabies clinic,
Okay. Director, you have any? I think I will stand up there. I feel weird sitting down while I'm trying to talk. This seems unprofessional. So yeah, we have a couple things. I won't go over the agenda items. Those will leave for individual discussion. But obviously, budget needs to be discussed. The rabies clinic, the health agent touched upon. Bulky item week, we've got a myriad of other things. The first thing I want to do is, because this letter was sent to only me and the office manager, is there's a letter for a board member's resignation. This is Joanne Wilson. I don't know why the board wasn't in receipt of this. I believe we forwarded it along, but I just wanted to read it to the record. Stated March 26, 2024 by Ms. Wilson. Addressed to the Board of Selectmen, Town of Dayton. It is with regret, great regret, that I, Joanne Wilson, holding the position of clerk of the Board of Health and being a member of the Solid Waste Committee, hereby resign from these positions effective immediately. She goes on, after receiving improper instruction from the town's administration office, my time on the Board of Health has been beyond difficult to handle. These difficulties also prove to create the challenge of being an effective member of the Solid Waste Committee. My personal health and well-being are my priority. I'm asking for your approval and resignation, and thank you most wholeheartedly for the support and understanding. Signed, Joanne Wilson. As I understand it, this went to the town clerk. So because it went to the town clerk, that resignation becomes effective immediately. There's no need for the board to accept it.
Does it say anything about if this is going for, if this is a unethical, the way she put it down, sounded like it might be an ethics question.
No, I don't see any of that in here. I don't know if you've actually seen a copy of this yet.
I guess it's kind of vague, improper instructions. Okay, guess we're gonna have to find a third board member. Woody, you volunteer?
No, I was hoping the board could find somebody a little more professional than they've found in the past. And if you're asking my personal opinion, which you just did, right?
No, I asked if you,
No.
I asked if you wanted to join.
Oh, I did definitely do not want to join the Board of Health. I don't feel that I'm have enough experience or any expertise to add to the Board of Health.
Okay,
But if you look at the Board of Health in the city of Taunton, all three of them are doctors,
we're gonna go on.
okay? And that's why I'm here today, because I want to see our Board of Health be a little more professional.
All right, well, you talking out of turn.
Thank you very much.
Anything else, Director?
No, the rest of it can be addressed with the agenda items.
Okay, so our old business, the permit workshop review and approval. Patrick, did you put together a package of what we did for the workshop that we had? You were taking the lead on that.
It's in your packet.
So we had a permitting workshop to discuss the process of permitting going forward. It's not been held properly the past couple of years. It's not been managed properly the past couple of years. It was a concern of mine that was brought to this board's attention that we needed some kind of process, something to be sent out to people saying informing them that their applications are expiring by a certain date, and to have cutoff dates of when things are due by, and fines if they're not due by a certain time. The past 2 years I've been on this board, it seems like we're sending out and receiving licenses well into January that were well expired. So one of the questions was, can we do things early? How can we handle things? The discussion, which is in the packet, brought up some key points of sending out notices to businesses, not only by October 1st, for a notice to a business to remind them that their applications are coming up. All applications are due by November 1st. There'll be a penalty if it's submitted after that November 1st to December 31st. If it's already expired, like if it goes beyond January 1st, the fee would be doubled. And we would have permits ready and printed to be signed by the November meeting. So these businesses are receiving their new licenses prior to the year even expiring. And the health agent will deliver them after an inspection that they do prior to the end of the year. We'll mail all permits out after the November meeting or deliver them in person. And we're not going to prorate any fees. In my fear, it put us into a bad spot where a license expires after January 1st and we're still processing their paperwork. If something had happened, if somebody bought something expired or something were done inappropriately, it would put not only us liable, but we also put the store liable. So I think that if we start this process months earlier, I think that it would be better off for everybody involved. We shouldn't be chasing people the third month of January for their license that expired January 1st.
No, I think this was excellent. I was obviously part of the permitting workshop. This is great. This is exactly the type of procedures we need to implement in a department so that we have structure, accountability, but also the townspeople and businesses know what to expect from their health department. So, yeah, this goes on with inspection notes, expiration dates, et cetera, et cetera. It's comprehensive. It works. It works with the workflow and the responsibilities in the office. So I thank you all for doing that. I just hope that we could have an affirmative vote and put these systems into place.
So everybody's had time to kind of digest the process. Did we think of any changes that we want to do, or how do we have to put this forward?
Heather, do you have anything to say about it?
Well, we changed the colors of the permits. I didn't bring
yeah.
them up here to show you, but we're changing them for the mobile trucks. The restaurants will still stay the same. Temporary permits will be different. The septic halls will be different. Residential camps and such will be different. They'll be all different colors.
I just think we've got to send out notifications to all the businesses saying, hey, these are the new processes. You're gonna have to have everything in here by this certain date, so they're not surprised come.
Definitely should send something like key points, even if we did like the keynotes in a letter to all the businesses, maybe by June, so they can be ready by November, if that's
I can
acceptable.
also have the letter done, and when I've been starting doing my inspections, I can hand deliver it to them so they know they got it from me to them.
Selectman Hull?
No, say,
Paul?
what? We're not taking any public input right now.
Okay, you do have, or you don't have public input on your,
No, we don't.
No, it was taken off for some reason.
Well, the reason was to the point. Jim, on this $100 penalty for an application submitted after November. What if somebody doesn't know whether they're gonna renew their lease or whatever until December? And they're up in the air. Or somebody that comes in December and says, January 1st, they want to start, they want to open. Are we gonna charge them an extra $100?
I think that would be an extenuating circumstance, and in that particular case, I would actually have them come to the board and ask the board for relief on the penalty. But I think we need to stay steadfast. I think what you're referring to could happen, but I don't think that's the norm. But if it did, then I think the board can either have leniency or implement the penalty. It's up to the board. But I think from an operation perspective, we should have a set of ground rules, follow them. And certainly if a business had some type of an anomaly like that, then we would certainly not want to hurt the business. But I think I would ask the board for their input on that before I would waive any fees.
Okay.
I mean, at least if the application is in before November 1st, if there's a check that hasn't been submitted, at least we know intentions of them renewing. And if anybody wants to start anything new after the first of the year, I mean, we can approve it. They'll still pay the full year fee, but if they want to do it after the first, they're not going to get charged. If they want to add a new product or a new item.
Now, Heather, you mentioned about the size of the permits. Do we have that on here? You see that anywhere on this page here?
Did you put that on there?
Should be. No,
Would you like to have?
Do you want to see the do you want to see the copy of them? Like,
Well, yeah, I saw the copy of them, but I thought that was discussed in the workshop. That should have been on.
yeah, that's just bullet points of notes that I took, so I missed one.
What is it?
That-
do you want me to get the copies?
No,
Okay.
okay. Well, I thought that, I didn't know.
No,
I thought this was-
it was part of the workshop.
Yeah, no, I understand. I thought I asked Patrick.
This is just
Is-
something that I put together for, from the notes that we took at the meeting. So I
So
missed
this isn't,
that one.
so this is not a report for us to vote on? This is just,
No, that's just the notes from the meeting. Probably just have to make a vote saying that whatever we,
The change, the color of the paper and the size.
do we have to announce every specific change that's gonna be made?
I believe so, yes. because then we could be assuming changes that would be made that aren't made. And if we don't specify what changes are gonna be made, which ones aren't, then there's no sense of even making a regulation. That's the whole point of regulation. I think we're best to table this until our next meeting when we can have a solid recommendation to just 4 points and where we can vote on it. We're only 2 weeks away.
We're having a meeting on the 16th, I believe, aren't we?
So between this and what's going to come in 2 weeks, what do you want to see different? Because if there's something you want to see, we need to know so we can add it. So you can't just take it off. So if there's something you want added, you need to let us know so it can be added. Otherwise, I think this can be voted on.
Well, as I put down,
Especially when I have a
Right.
give tomorrow.
there's the permit workshop review and approval, which I thought we were gonna have a report on.
The only thing that's missing is changing the look of the permits. Like, everything else is there. So you can approve this tonight and then we can add the color of the paper later, but I don't think the local businesses are gonna care what color paper they came on. They're gonna care about the fees that we change.
Yeah, and the permits are the permits. They're staying the same size. They're just changing a color.
The
So
only thing that's different is the mobile truck is smaller.
Yeah, I mean, my professional opinion is the health agent's capable of determining what the permit should look like. I do agree with the different colors and sizes. The food truck in particular, the size is smaller because a food truck has very limited wall space. So if you wanted to vote to approve and leave the permit look and color at the discretion of the health agent, I don't think that would be out of line.
So we just need to add that on here.
I would make the motion and then you would include that, what I just stated as part of the motion.
All right, can I get a motion, Patrick?
I make a motion to approve this new permit process with the stipulation of adding the different colors into the mailer that goes out to the businesses, so they're aware of what colors and sizes they're gonna be.
All right, I'll step down and second that. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, that carries. Okay, now,
Get on that.
trash bag vendor agreement.
So. Let me speak.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I understand that this has been on here for a couple of different meetings. What I can tell you is that the reason there's been a delay is the solid waste committee is vetting perhaps a change in our curbside trash program. The change in the curbside trash program will alter this agreement with the vendors. At last night's solid waste committee meeting, some decisions were made and the direction was set. We're having another meeting next Monday night with Mass DEP to create a trajectory for the solid waste curbside program, as well as the transfer station. It would appear to me that if some decisions were made and a report was given to this body for action, that could be done as soon as the end of this month, April. I would suggest that I would like to get this done once and done right. So I would prefer to wait until solid waste decides on how they want the curbside program to evolve before we do a vendor agreement that might need to change in a month or two. So I'm sorry, it's just there's a lot of moving parts right now. Solid waste hadn't met for some time. There was a grant that was sought to get some input from Mass DEP. We were successful in getting that grant. So those discussions are now starting to really come to a head.
So would you like us to put this off to the next meeting?
I would like to give an
Table
update the next meeting, which would be following the second meeting of solid waste next Monday. And then I think at that time, I can probably give some direction as to what solid waste is thinking. Because I think it's important for this body to know what the thought process is for curbside pickup. It doesn't appear to be going anywhere, so I don't want anyone to think that curbside is going away, but it just needs to be changed in the way it's paid for and managed.
Okay. Can I get a motion to table this until the next meeting?
We made no decision on it. Do we need to table it?
What's that?
There was no discussion or
Right, well-
decision on it, so.
From what, we want to have discussion, we can have a discussion. I thought Jim explained it, that was our discussion, but if you got more questions,
No, all right, I make a motion to table it until next month.
okay. I'll step down and second it, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. New business, review the code of conduct. I can't go into a lot of detail right now. We've got a lot of things that can't be discussed openly, including some resignations we've got. But I just wanted to make a note to everybody involved here in the health department. Please review them, go through and just reread what you signed, what your obligations are to the town and to the townspeople. Jim, you have any comment on that? Patrick, any comment?
I think you should read it as well, so you're well aware of what you signed,
Oh, I have,
you know.
I didn't exclude myself, it was everybody.
Inappropriate emails shouldn't be sent around.
Right, Mike Mullen had discussed that about you before, but we're not gonna get into that now.
Was referring to the one you sent to Joanne, that you had Jim sent to Joanne.
Like I said, we're in the middle of a legal battle right now, so that can't be talked about.
Well, I should be informed if we are, so I know not to talk about it.
We shouldn't be talking about anybody that's not in the room.
I'm
Anyways.
talking about you, Paul. You're sitting right here. I'm not talking about anyone else.
And
Moving
I
on.
said, I didn't exclude myself. And I'm a big boy. I make sure that when I do something, I do it properly. I was informed from Human Resources to send that letter like that. So, Jim, I guess it's you again, the budget review.
Yes.
You met last Thursday, right, with,
Yes, I met with Finance Committee last Thursday, met with the town administrator early this year. The budget is fairly forthright. It's pretty much level funded in every line. There was a reduction in the overtime line. Contractual increases for rubbish collection, recycling collection, that's with our curbside hauler. And then the only two lines that I want to bring your attention to is that I've made it perfectly clear in our submittal that the disposal costs for both trash and recycling have not been published for FY25 yet. So we don't know what those costs are until we get closer to the end of the fiscal year. I'm trying my best to get the numbers off of them, but they're not committing until they get closer to the timeframe. So FinCom knows that the line was level funded from last year, but there should be some increase expected in both of those lines. We just don't know what they are. In talking with our curbside hauler, I asked him to try to give me some indication as to what he thinks that the changes would be, and he told me they were modest. So, and coming from Mr. Borges, modest would be a small increase. But until we see it in writing, I don't know that for sure.
now we can always go back to them, just when we.
The budget hasn't been set yet, but obviously in a budget year where we have a deficit, every little bit counts. So
Right.
it's important that we can find.
When will we have that information? Before the town meeting or after?
It'll be before town meeting.
Okay,
I just think it might not be, I can't find anything historically that tells us when we find out those. I can tell you in years past, just sharing an office with the health department, the Board of Health, it was always seemed to be the Board of Health was the last to the table with the number. This might be why the disposal costs come in late in the year.
now what happens if CMS decides to change their rate in mid-season? We don't have a contract.
We are leaving our contract with CMAS. They're not offering another one. But as I understand it, the disposal rates would be held for one fiscal year.
Okay,
So whatever that number is what we will carry for the entire year. So there
Okay.
shouldn't be any change mid-year.
okay.
There were spikes in the previous years, somewhat significant too, that we had to absorb. That was very difficult.
Right.
but hopefully that's not gonna happen this year.
Okay. Anybody got any questions? Heather? Elizabeth? Patrick? Okay. Heather, the rabies clinic, you pretty much already said that in your report. Do you have anything more to include in it?
Just for Dayton residents only,
It's for Dayton residents only?
Dayton residents only, yes.
Next should be the bulky item week.
I've been getting phone calls for that already, so I spoke to Tom Ferry at the Highway Department, and he did give me a date, the week
May
of
20th.
May 20th to the 24th. Best for his,
Backdated all.
what was that?
Can you repeat that again, the best dates for,
The best dates for the Highway Department team would be May 20th through May 24th,
okay.
so right before Memorial Day.
All right, what else do you need to put that together?
Nothing.
Okay.
Nope.
Jim?
We have enough tags from last year. We don't need to purchase anything. It's just advertising. So if we're gonna move forward with it, I'll start advertising and create a flyer and stuff.
Okay. All right, no other input. All right, Patrick, you wanted to see Board of Health spending.
Yeah, so I was notified that the Board of Health had purchased 2 laptops and associated fees for those laptops to set them up and get them running. Just wondering what the necessity was for it, and were other avenues looked at and why it wasn't brought to the board. I know that we don't have a line item as how much to spend, which I think is something else that we need to investigate as a department as to how much the department can spend without bringing it to the board. I researched, we don't currently have that. I think that's something that we should have. Personally, the reasons that I was given for the purchase of these laptops, I'm 100% not happy with. So I wanted to ask openly as to why they were purchased. So I don't
No,
go by the,
you had said that you were informed. Did you ask whoever informed you these questions?
I brought it to the board, of which I believe it should have been brought to in the first
I was
place.
just wondering how was this brought to your attention?
Bringing this to the board,
How was this brought to your attention?
huh?
How was this brought to your?
It doesn't matter how it was brought to my attention, Paul. I'm bringing it to the board for an explanation, and that's what I wanted. So
So-
instead of going off of rumors, I'm bringing it to the board's attention.
Yes, and I believe the health director is the one that's in charge of the budget and the spending. The way we spelled it out, he runs a day-to-day operation.
Right. It doesn't mean that as the board, I can't question a purchase that was made.
I agree 100%. You can.
So
I'm just wondering why you didn't.
not only am I a board member, but I'm a taxpayer that bought these tablets, and I
Right.
want to make sure that we're spending money because we're talking about increasing fees in other ways. So I'm wondering why we're spending this money. So
And-
let's start with the one that was bought for you. Why was it bought for you?
Because the emails got messed up. They couldn't get any of the emails on my personal computers. So I didn't receive emails for 3 or 4 months. Jim tried to have an old iPad that didn't stay charged, had a little screen, he couldn't do anything with it. So I asked him what we're gonna do. He's the health director. He made the decision to buy the computers. And again, if Jim is in charge to make these decisions, and you're that curious, why didn't you just pick up the phone and call Jim and say, hey, what's going on?
I could, but I decided to bring it to a board to be openly discussed.
Right. So the board has to look at Jim and say, Jim,
So the other 2 board members were reading emails on their phones. Did that not work for you? Because should we have bought 3 computers for the entire board to check their email?
it does not work for me, no. A screen that big, trying to read this page, no. Doesn't work for me.
Do you get text messages on your phone? Are those?
What's that?
Are text messages easy for you to read?
Text messages usually because they're not that lengthy.
I just think that we had an iPad that we could have given you, but you just weren't happy with the charging capabilities of it. So we had to buy you a laptop.
No, Elizabeth, can you update him on the iPad. It was old and took forever, and it only did the blue mail. It didn't do the regular mail. There's a lot of disadvantage. It was not my fault that the town decided to make it so my personal computers at home would not accept email without me deleting files from my business computers. So I gave them the option to have Elizabeth do my emails, have Jim do them, but you were one of the ones that said email shouldn't come from Jim, they should come from me. So if they're gonna come from me, I need a way of accessing them.
Okay, just wanted clarification, because emails I can read and send perfectly on my phone as well as past board members could. And past board members have come into the office and utilized the computer to send emails. So just wanted to confirm, but we bought 2 of them, so.
The second one was bought because the previous health agent's laptop was given to the office manager. The health agent no longer had a laptop. So the current health agent has been working closely with the coalition, the training programs, et cetera, et cetera. She does do a lot on her own time, which I'm grateful for. And having access to her desktop remotely, I thought was a necessity. So that's why that laptop was bought.
Okay.
The laptop was given to the office manager for exactly why you see it today. It was used for meeting minutes.
Okay.
So it's not something that could have went back and forth between the 2 staff members.
Okay.
So progressing and moving the office forward, I felt that that was an appropriate purchase.
Okay.
That said, I'm also a taxpayer, and I can tell you that in all of the purchases that I make in the department, thought goes behind all of them. So the chairman should be accessible, should have email. I'm not going to get into reasons why they can't use, chairman can't use his phone or an iPad. The iPad was an old iPad. It was a hand-me-down from my previous inspectors, which have been upgraded. So we tried a few different avenues to get this to work, and nothing worked.
Okay. There's no reason why this couldn't be brought up at a board meeting, so that's the reason I brought it up. You know, as the chairman has noted, he hadn't had access to his email for 3 months, so it just concerned me why he hasn't had access to it for 3 months. And all of a sudden, this is an emergency purchase that couldn't have waited until the board meeting where we could have presented an idea and a solution. So going farther, I'd like to start to look at, like, not that I don't trust you, because I know that you have the best mind with this town and you're very financially, there, and you pay attention to a lot of things, but I'd like to look as a board into how much money we should be able to spend before we either send out an email to the board or whatever. As I've said in the past, there's a lot of learning curves with your new position and things come up, and I don't see why it couldn't be open for discussion.
Sure. The only thing I would, sorry.
It could be open for discussion. Jim is in charge of the day-to-day operations. He knows what to spend, what not to spend. And I didn't make a vote on it. I asked him, what should we do? It was his idea, we get the computers. And now we're getting to, you think it should have come in front of the board. So now we have to put a dollar figure on it. So Jim, you spent, what, $200 something a piece on the computers. So $500-600, say. So do we have to, are you trying to say that the board needs to Jim has to get permission before he spends more than 600, more than 1,000, more than 200? You're upset that it didn't come in front of the board to spend $600. How many other times do you spend money, Jim?
Yeah, I would just let the board know that if you're going to use a dollar figure, that's going to seriously strap the operations of the department, because we process bills every week for fairly large numbers, especially with the curbside pickup, et cetera, so.
Right, but first, processing those bills that we have as budget line items is different than just saying the chairman hasn't had access to his email for 3 months, so we're just going to go out and buy a computer. There's big differences when we're freezing overtime, when we're freezing spending, and people are concerned about budgets that aren't meeting. That one thing with you're signing a bill for trash pickup or you're signing a bill for trash bags or something that we've discussed as a budget line item is one thing. And it may sound petty of talking about a $200 purchase for a computer, but I think if we're adding things to the department, maybe that should be a discussion that's had at a meeting. I mean, we waited 3 months. We could have waited 4 more days till the next meeting and discussed it. I'm not angry. I'm voicing my concerns as a board member. And I just think that somewhere along the lines, we need to be fiscally responsible just as much as any other board and any other anything. And I know, I agree with you, Jim, that it's a fine line, and there are probably a lot of things that you sign on a daily basis that don't even make it to me to be known about. And that's why we put a person like you in the position so we wouldn't have to wait for the chairman to come in and sign all these bills at a certain time. There's a method to this, but to that method, and I've been vocal about it at multiple meetings, that there's a lot of things that are going to come up that we're going to learn as a board together and say, okay, maybe this purchase should be something that we should run past the board, or maybe this should have happened some other different way. I'm not mad. I'm not scolding anybody. I asked questions, and I don't want to go to Paul's point, maybe I could have called you, but I don't want to hear something and then go talk to someone and then go talk to someone else when we have a meeting to discuss the Board of Health operations.
Right.
And this falls under the operations. So I just, in every right, am questioning why we bought it. That's all.
You do have every right. I have a question though. What determines what you get informed or you don't get informed? So you just said, there's a lot of things that Jim signs that you don't get informed, but you started this discussion saying that you were informed about this. So what was this purchase so special that you need to get informed about other purchases aren't? Where do we draw the line?
Honestly, I thought it was pointless, Paul. You want my honest opinion? I think it's pointless for you to have a computer that the taxpayers bought for you to read your emails, that you're not carrying around with you 24 hours a day to answer these emails, that you're sitting down at a desk later on to read them. If you want my honest opinion, it's pointless for you to have a laptop, and it's a waste of money. You want my honest opinion?
You're avoiding the issue. You didn't answer my question. My question is, what determines that item being important and other items not?
I did answer that. I said it's pointless. Did you not hear me?
No.
It's pointless for you to have a laptop.
You're talking
End
about
of
that
story.
one, you're talking about that one item. How come you weren't informed about all the other things that Jim signed? You're only informed about that. What was the decision? What put that into a certain category that was hot topic for you to be informed, but these other items weren't?
Want me to say it a third time?
No, because you're just repeating yourself and you're not answering the question.
Your question is, what was this item? What was so hot about this item?
No,
Yes.
my question is, why were you informed of this item, but you weren't informed of others? Not what the item was.
Maybe
Why?
we should look into what the day-to-day operations is that is not informed to this board.
Again, Jim, you want to chime in on this? Again, we're going back to the day-to-day operation.
Yeah, I think what the chairman is trying to say, and I'm actually hearing the same thing, is you were informed about this one specific purchase by someone who you choose to remain nameless, which is fine.
Yeah.
But what about all the other things that are signed in the daily operations of the department? Are you informed of those by the same person?
No.
Or not?
No, and maybe I'll come and sit with you and you can show me what day-to-day operations that get signed off on. It's something that I should learn as a board member. Maybe I should come sit with you and learn.
I can also prepare in my report, if the board so chooses to let you know what was signed for the previous 30 days if we meet once a month. I would have no problem with that either.
Maybe we should. It's an open question, and an item was brought to me and I was told a rumor. So I'm confirming it with the chairman and the director of the Board of Health. Why is this a hot topic for me? For the third time, it's pointless for you to have a laptop. And that's the answer to that question.
And what you just said, it was a rumor, so.
So
you had to-
I brought it to here and you
So-
answered the question and you asked for my opinion. And I'm giving it to you, Paul.
No, you haven't answered the question at all. You're just saying the same answer, but we'll move on. Jim, if you're willing to have it all spelled out, every dime we spend,
Yeah, whatever the board is looking for me to do is fine. None of what we spent is outside of the normal operations of this department. This particular item seemed to hit a nerve. I don't know if they'll ever come up again, quite frankly. But it did. So if to combat that, from happening in the future. If you want more in-depth reporting, I can do that. It's up to whatever the board wants to do.
Now, what I'd like to know from you, Jim, is how many more hours is that going to take you? Because we already voted over a year ago that any board member at any time has any question about anything spending, you walk in the office and say, I want to see all the receipts, what we spent the money on. Again, I don't want to hear you answer for the fourth time. I'm just wondering why you were informed of this one. But if you're really concerned about everything that's going on, why didn't you make it a point to come down once a month and say, I want to see it. I want to see what the benefit is.
I've been in the office more than once a month, Paul. Thank you very much.
And you've gone through all the reports.
I have not, but I've talked to Jim on more than once a month occasion about what's going on with the Board of Health and certain things. Have I looked at things, a line item? No, but am I in there more than once a month? But have we also said that this director position is something that was new and we didn't anticipate, and that there were things that were going to come up that we're going to have to discuss and work with because we didn't have a foundation as to what this position would be?
So we're changing his job description?
No, I never, did I ever say we're changing the job description? But I did say that we've,
Well, you said it wasn't like carved in stone. I thought your position's carved in stone, what you do.
show me the stone it's carved on, Paul.
Do you have a contract with the selectmen?
Paul, I was being sarcastic.
Well, I'm not.
I'm not changing
I'm
the
not-
job description.
I'm not being sarcastic. I am running a meeting. You said something, I took it serious.
I answered it. Move on.
So,
I do not have a contract with the town. I'm an employee at will.
so I guess it's not carved in stone.
Okay, move on.
Okay. So no decision. Trash bag inventory management. Where is that?
Yeah, so the office manager, Elizabeth, was conducting a recent inventory of the bags, which we all know that the issue we had with the bags being manufactured improperly, and we had to replace most of them. The current vendor has been excellent in responding and replacing bags. In fact, they've replaced just about all the bags that they delivered initially to us. So I can't say enough about their response, their customer service, et cetera, et cetera. And thankfully, the problem bags are waning. The old stock is just about depleted, stock meaning that went into circulation. So Elizabeth recently took inventory, and we found that there was a discrepancy between the bag count, actual bag count, and the inventory amount that was logged by the highway department. So it's probably just a mathematical error. No one's stealing trash bags. That's not the point. The point is there something we can look at? It's 2024. The notepad or folder, which actually has the handwritten bags that they take to do their weekly orders, is somewhat obsolete. So is there some other system that we can look at that isn't too costly, but gets our inventory management at our fingertips, either through electronic scanning or something like that? We just wanted this on there for discussion, see how the board feels. Are we overthinking it? Is 2 boxes of bags every now and again off in the inventory really a problem? I don't know. I don't want to overthink it, but I also want to try to move us and move us forward in a way that has accountability and makes it easier for the people involved as well.
When I did the inventory count, there was numerous errors in just calculation where he added instead of subtracted, and then by the time, whoever's delivering the boxes on Friday.
On our end, receiving them or the delivery person?
No, the delivery, the highway guys. So he goes in, he takes the boxes that I tell him to deliver, and instead of deducting them, he's adding them. And then there was a couple of times where it was just off. And then the count from what I have to what they have wasn't off by many. It was 1 small and 2 large. So it wasn't a lot, but there's probably an easier way to do it where he can just, punch a number into a computer and say, this is what I have left, versus trying to pen and paper, like Jim said.
Have to get him a computer.
Yeah, I don't have an answer. After the last discussion about a computer, I'm not gonna suggest buying one. That said, I don't know enough about it. I'm not in inventory management. I was never in retail. I don't know what is available. I don't know if a scan tool will solve the problem. I have no idea. I know that the current vendor that we use, if I reached out to them and asked them to barcode our boxes, I'm sure that's something they would do for us. But how will we be able to track that in the future? I don't know. I honest to goodness, it's not my strength.
Now, could,
If I just shared with them the spreadsheet that I use, it does that for you. So you just plug in the numbers of what you're picking out.
so we just have to explain to this employee, add instead of subtract.
Give them an electronic file versus a notepad and a pencil.
Electronic file or print it out?
They can use Excel like I do.
But how are they gonna use Excel? They don't have a laptop to go around with them.
They must have computers. I mean, Heather works Fridays, correct?
Yeah, but she doesn't deliver the bags.
Yeah, but she's there. So when they take the boxes out, it's just a spreadsheet. All somebody has to do is plug in the two numbers and at least
So you're
it's-
talking about when they leave the highway department or when they get to the store?
they leave the highway department. They're telling us on a notepad how many boxes they took out. But if they're doing math instead of subtraction, it's not gonna balance.
Myself, that would be something we should talk to Tom Ferry about because he's in charge of those guys.
I did bring it up at the solid waste committee meeting last night. Tom did not think it was an issue. He
Okay.
felt it was fairly minor in the scheme of things.
Yeah,
So I trust his judgment. However, I think in year 2024, if we have a way to see how many bags we have in stock real time or have some type of a tracking system that is not that costly, I think it might be something that would be good for us to have. I don't know though. I don't know what these things cost.
right. I'd like to get Tom's opinion more on it, see what he thinks, see what he has for equipment, whatnot. You have any suggestions, Pat?
Nope.
Okay, any further discussions about the management? Okay, so review after discuss the annual report sign off.
That was already signed. It was due yesterday, so I submitted it. You both signed it.
We're gonna sign that already? All right, so that's not.
I just had it on there from when we were supposed to have the meeting in March.
What's that?
I had it on the agenda because from the March meeting. But it got postponed till after the deadline, so I had to send it to Leanne.
Oh, no, I didn't know why it was on the new business. Yep, should have been, I guess, on the old business side. That was from March.
It was just for you guys to approve and I could submit it. But you had come into the office and already signed off on it, so.
Okay, so now we've got the legal opinion of septic installers licenses. I didn't think that we needed to keep this on here, however, other people did, and Jim, you're one. And I have no problem keeping it. I know that we got the legal opinion because of a situation that we had that we no longer have.
Yeah, the only reason why I wanted us to stay on here is we now have an open seat on the board. And I would just ask the board, use discretion in the future, if we have an applicant who potentially has a conflict, which we're now aware of, based on this legal opinion, that they would take that into consideration when they're appointing someone. That's all.
Okay.
The, on this line item that was brought up and discussed in the past, was it resolved? Was there a refund given or was there a permit approved or can we not discuss
Permit
it?
was approved and issued.
Okay.
Only recently, though. It was lingering until recently.
Rightfully so.
Have you got any questions? Elizabeth? All right, we're done with that. Elizabeth, do we have any correspondence from anybody?
No, we just had one from Deval Printing. He came in a couple of times to ask if anybody needed anything.
Okay.
That was the only thing that came.
Anything that we need is any offered?
No, not that I can think of.
Okay.
So one thing, Mr. Chairman. if you don't mind. On the correspondence, I would just like to bring your attention back to this vaccine flyer that the students at Bristol Aggie worked on for the joint venture between the Board of Health, Health Department and the school. I would ask all of you to promote this as much as you can. It's only Dayton residents this year. The thought is if it's a success, it would be expanded to other communities. But for this year, because it's inaugural, we wanted to make sure that both the school, the students, and the health department will be able to handle this. So the health agent's going to be at this event to supporting the process and helping out any way she can. I would ask that, and I'm not sure if you may have already done this, I'm sure it's on the town's website already. I would like the selectmen in the future to promote this as much as they can at their meetings, so we'll share this with your office as well. But it was a very positive discussion, and I'm looking forward to having this be the first of many joint ventures between us and the school.
Okay. All right, next will be the approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from January 23, 2024.
I'll step down a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.
Mr. McGovern,
Yes, sir.
things. One, a question that I wasn't able to answer in this forum. I will have an opportunity at a forum tomorrow to ask that question.
Okay.
And the second thing,